You're doing the work. And you're still stuck. Not stuck like you're lazy. Stuck like you keep hitting the same wall with different excuses. Same blind spot. Same pattern. Same regret showing up in a different outfit. You keep pushing. You keep handling it. You keep telling yourself you're close. But the cost keeps stacking. It costs years. It costs relationships. It costs respect, the kind you don't get back once you've burned it. So you tell yourself, I'll figure it out. And you call it independence. But a lot of the time, it's just pride with better marketing. Here's the truth. Most men have never had anyone talk plainly to them. Wanting a mentor isn't weakness. Asking the wrong way is. Begging. Rambling. Putting a man on a pedestal and putting yourself beneath him. Showing up with a vague need and no direction. That is what feels weak. That is what reads as weak. Not the desire for guidance. The posture. But a clean ask, made with clarity, respect, and demonstrated effort, doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look like a man worth building. Today we are going through 8 moves. How to get clear on what you actually need. How to find the right mentor. How to make sure he is actually ahead of you in the area that matters. How to approach him without shrinking. How to show up with receipts. How to make the ask clean and direct. How to receive correction without falling apart, and how to close the loop so the relationship actually deepens. 8 moves, and we start before the ask is ever made. Picture a room you have been in 100 times. Job site, gym, office, church, station kitchen, parking lot after a meeting. There is a man there who has something you want. Not his money, not his title, his steadiness. The way his life looks built, the way people trust him without him demanding it. And you think, I should talk to him. Then the other voice shows up. He's busy. I'll sound stupid. I don't want to look needy. So you don't move. And what you call respecting his time is usually you protecting your comfort. A lot of men are building their lives on borrowed fragments. A quote here. A podcast there. A reel that hit different at midnight. No structure. No standard. No man above them, willing to tell them the hard truth about where they actually are. It's like trying to build a house with no foundation, no blueprint, and no foreman, and wondering why it keeps falling over. That is why a man can be busy and still not be built. Information without formation keeps a man moving but not growing. Mentorship changes that, if you know how to pursue it. Move 1. Get clear before you ask. A mentor is not a therapist. He is not a fortune teller. If you show up vague, you will leave vague. Most men approach the idea of mentorship the way they approach a doctor's appointment, when something feels wrong without knowing what. They show up hoping the expert will figure out the problem. But a mentor is not a diagnostician. He is a guide. And you cannot be guided if you don't know where you are trying to go. Before you approach any man, answer 3 questions. What specific area of your life needs the most attention right now? Your character, your leadership, your marriage, your discipline, your faith, your direction? What pattern keeps repeating that you cannot break on your own? And what kind of man has actually navigated what you are navigating? Here is what getting specific looks like. A man in his late 20s, solid job, recently married, starting to feel the weight of real responsibility pressing down. He keeps getting passed over for leadership at work and cannot figure out why. He is capable. He works hard. But something is stalling him that he cannot see from the inside. He wants a mentor. But every time he thinks about reaching out to someone, the ask feels too vague to make. So he gets specific. He stops thinking about his career and starts looking honestly at his pattern. Every time conflict arises, he either shuts down or overreacts. That is the real issue, not his competence, his behavior under pressure. Now he knows exactly what he needs. Not a career coach, but a man who has led people through conflict for 20 years and come out with his character intact. That specificity changes everything. Now, when he makes the ask, he is not requesting general wisdom. He is making a targeted, dignified request that a serious man can actually respond to. Vague men want advice. Clear men earn formation. Move 2. Pick for character, not clout. The right mentor is not the most impressive man in the room. He is the most consistent man in the room. This is where most men go wrong. They chase the platform, the polished story, the highlight reel. They want access to success in its most visible form. And sometimes those things align with genuine character. But often they don't. And a man who mentors you from image rather than substance will shape you toward his image rather than your best self. Here is the scenario. You see 2 options. One man is loud, successful, sharp, polished, big wins. But his people look tense around him. He talks more than he listens. He is always the hero of his own story. The other man is quieter, less visible, but he is steady. He asks questions that expose truth. His wife respects him. His kids are not afraid of him. Men stay connected to him for years after they stop working together. They speak about him the way you want people to speak about you someday. That second man is the one. His markers are different. He has failed and owned it and come out more grounded, not more defended. He is still teachable himself, still reaching up, still under correction from someone. He does not need an audience to hold his standard. Stop chasing the impressive man. Start looking for the steady one. Because steady is what you need, and steady is what you will eventually become if you stay close to it long enough. Clout teaches shortcuts. Character teaches strength. Move 3. Make sure he is ahead of you in the lane you are asking about. Not every good man is your mentor. The right mentor has to be ahead of you specifically in the battle you are fighting, not just generally successful. This matters more than most men think. You want to become a better husband, so you ask a killer salesman with 3 divorces. You want to build discipline, so you ask the funny guy who has been starting Monday for 3 years. You want to lead people well, so you ask a man who has only ever led himself. His success in other lanes is real, but it is not transferable to yours. And the advice he gives you from outside your lane may sound good and still send you the wrong direction. Find the man who has scars in that lane and still stands straight. A man who has navigated what you are navigating, paid what it cost, and came out with his character intact. That man's advice is not opinion. It is earned. It has weight, because it cost him something to know it. A mentor isn't a fan. He's a guide. Pick a guide. Move 4. Show receipts before you make the ask. Mentors invest in motion, not intention. A man who shows up saying, "I want to change my life," is asking a mentor to start from zero. No evidence of effort. No proof the investment won't be wasted. He is asking a serious man to bet on a horse that hasn't broken from the gate. A man who shows up with evidence of movement, even imperfect movement, is asking for something completely different. He is asking for sharpening, not motivation. And sharpening is something a serious man is actually willing to give. Here is the contrast. 2 men approach the same leader. The first says, "I've been struggling. I need guidance. I don't know what direction to go." The second says, "I'm up at 5. Training 4 days a week. Cut the drinking during the week. Still falling apart on weekends. I need help tightening the standard." Same need, completely different signal. The first man is asking for a starting point. The second man is asking for correction. Every serious mentor chooses the second man, not because the first man doesn't matter, but because the second man has already demonstrated he does the work. Before you make the ask, move first, even messily. Start the habit. Write the standard. Do the reps. Then ask from momentum rather than emptiness. If you want a mentor's time, show you respect your own. Move 5. Make the ask specific, time-bound, and easy to say yes to. Most men make the ask too big. That is why they get the slow no. The principle, clarity, is respect. Vagueness is a burden. The man you want to learn from is busy. When you approach him with something vague, "I'd love to pick your brain sometime," you are not making an ask. You are creating pressure. You are asking him to define the terms of a relationship he has not agreed to yet. That is what reads as weak. Not the desire to learn. The lack of structure around the request. Here is what a clean ask sounds like. "Hey, I respect how you carry yourself. I'm working on my discipline and my direction. Could I get 15 minutes of your time this week? I have 2 specific questions. I'll come prepared, and I won't go over time." That is all. No life story, no performance, no apology. He knows exactly what he is being asked for. He knows the cost is small. He can say yes without feeling like he is signing up for something open-ended. Or even simpler, "Could I run one decision by you? I'll be brief." Just your perspective. Now he knows the scope. Now he can respond as a man being respected rather than a man being recruited. Weak men ask for access. Strong men ask for a rep. Move 6. Ask with a spine. No apology. No theater. The posture you walk in with is the first thing the mentor evaluates. Before you say a word, he is reading how you carry yourself, and that reading tells him whether you are worth his time. Your posture communicates more than your words. A lot of men ruin a reasonable ask with an unreasonable amount of shrinking. "Sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. You probably won't have time, but..." All of that tells the man across from them one thing. This guy does not believe he is worth this conversation. Strong posture sounds different. "Hey, I've been watching how you lead. I want to learn from you. Are you open to a short conversation this week?" No begging. No theater. No performance of humility. Respectful. Direct. Clean. Here is what the mentor feels when that kind of man walks in. He sits up. He pays attention differently. He thinks. This man knows what he wants and is not afraid to ask for it. That is a man worth investing in. Here is what the mentor feels when the shrinking man walks in. He braces. He starts calculating the cost before the request is even made. The way you make the ask is the first audition. Walk in standing straight. Speak clearly. Mean what you say. You don't earn mentorship by shrinking. You earn it by standing straight. Let me stop here and ask you something directly. Think about the man you have been picturing since this video started. The one who has something you want. The one you've been telling yourself is too busy or too far above you or probably not interested. Is it possible that you have been protecting your comfort and calling it respect for his time? Because most men who say, "I don't want to bother him," are not actually thinking about him. They are thinking about themselves, about the risk of the ask, about what it would feel like to be told no. That is pride, quiet pride, and it is more expensive than rejection ever will be. Everything in the next 2 moves is what happens after you make the ask and he says yes. This is where most men lose a relationship that could have changed their life. Move 7. Be coachable in the moment, not impressive in the moment. Most men walk into a mentorship conversation trying to look smart. A coachable man walks in trying to get better. The man trying to look smart asks broad questions, offers his own analysis before the mentor finishes speaking, and subtly steers the conversation toward his strengths. The man trying to get better brings his honest failures, asks specific questions about where he is struggling, and listens without defending. Here is the scenario. He tells you something direct. You are leading from fear right now, not from strength. and the people around you can feel it even if they can't name it. That lands hard. Your first instinct is to explain the pressure you're under, the unreasonable demands, the circumstances that make this complicated. You start building the case for why your behavior makes sense. Stop. Breathe. Stay quiet for 3 full seconds, longer than is comfortable. And then say 4 words. Tell me what you see. That pause. That question. That willingness to stay in the discomfort instead of escaping it. That is the moment a man becomes coachable. That is the moment a mentor decides this relationship is worth everything he has to give. The correction is not an attack. It is an investment. It says, I see you clearly enough to tell you the truth, and I care enough about who you are becoming to not let you stay comfortable in something that is costing you. Receive it without defending. Sit with it honestly. Come back having acted on it. The moment you defend, the lesson dies. The moment you apply, the mentor stays. Move 8. Close the loop fast. Report back. Repeat. Mentorship doesn't grow from one conversation. It grows from a pattern. Ask, apply, report, adjust. Most men skip the report. They take the advice, disappear, and resurface weeks later, as if the previous conversation never happened. What it communicates is unmistakable. This man treats guidance like entertainment. He consumes it. He does not live by it. And something shifts in the mentor. Not anger, a quiet recalibration. He starts showing up slightly less invested. He gives slightly less of his best thinking. He does not announce it. He simply begins redirecting his energy where it produces fruit. His time is finite. He will not waste it on a man who is not moving. Here is what closing the loop looks like. He gave you one thing to work on. 2 weeks later, you come back and say, here is what I did. Here is where it worked. Here is where I fell apart. Here is what I think I am still missing. What would you adjust? That report back changes everything. It tells the mentor the investment was taken seriously, that the time was not wasted, that this man is the kind of man who does what he says and comes back with honest results. That is how a mentoring relationship moves from occasional conversation into something that actually shapes a life. Close the loop every time. Bring your wins, your losses, your questions, and your honest effort. Mentorship isn't requested once. It's earned again and again. Here is a word-for-word template you can use anywhere. Keep it close. Hey, I respect how you carry yourself. I'm working on my discipline and my direction. Could I get 15 minutes of your time this week? I've got 2 specific questions. I'll come prepared. That is it. No life story, no apology, no begging, and if he says no, do not spiral. Say, respect. Thank you anyway. Then do one of 3 things. Ask if there is someone he would recommend you speak with. Ask if you could circle back in a month when he has more availability. Or walk away and keep building, because your growth does not depend on any one man. Rejection does not make you weak. Avoidance does. Here is what I want you to hear before this ends. You are not scared of learning. You are scared of being seen. You are scared that a good man will look at you and realize you are not as put together as you present, that the gap between who you appear to be and who you actually are will be visible to someone who knows what to look for. But here is the truth. Good men already know. They are not judging you for needing formation. They are judging whether you have the humility to pursue it. That is the only question they are asking when you walk toward them. The man who keeps waiting for mentorship to find him is going to keep waiting. It does not work that way. The men who got built went and found someone. They got specific. They made the ask. They showed up with receipts. They stood straight. They received the correction. They closed the loop. They stayed in it, until something transferred. That is not a different kind of man than you. That is the same kind of man making a different decision. The version of you that figures everything out alone has a ceiling. And you already know where it is. You have been bumping against it. You know exactly which pattern you cannot break, which blind spot keeps costing you, which level you cannot get past no matter how hard you push. That ceiling does not come down by working harder in isolation. It comes down when a man who can see what you cannot gets close enough to your life to speak honestly into it. That man exists. He is in your actual orbit right now, ahead of you on the road, watching, whether he knows it or not, to see if you are the kind of man worth investing in. So here is your charge this week. One move, not a program. Write down one man whose character, leadership, or life you genuinely respect. Not his highlight reel, his life. Send a message or make the ask in person. 15 minutes, 2 questions. Come prepared, then do the work, and report back. Because you are not looking for a hero, you are training to become someone to be. A weak man protects his ego. A strong man protects his future, even if it costs him his pride. If this hit you, subscribe to Someone to Be. Every video on this channel is built for the man who is done drifting and ready to be shaped. Like the video. Share it with one man who needs to hear it. And drop "I'm not weak" in the comments if you are done letting pride keep you from the growth that is waiting for you. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. You are not too proud to be built. You are just getting started.